Good afternoon to everybody. So we have this afternoon the last talk of María Frápolli, and she will be. It's not that. Okay. So she will be closing her comments and her presentation of her book, The Nature of Truth, and we can, after her presentation, we can have the last discussion. And I wanted, because of some people asked about who we are in this workshop, so I want to clarify that this workshop is organized by a group, Social Brains Group, a group of researchers at Unicinos of the program, graduation program in philosophy, and who is participating? Participating are professors of and postdocs of the program, the graduate program in philosophy of Unicinos. So we have here, for example, Vasilis Tsompandis, that is a postdoc at our program, and John Bollender, who is a professor, and Tudor Baitut, who is a professor at our program, Adriano Brito, and myself, Sofia Stein. So, because and I want to thank you for the participation, and I hope we have a very nice and active last discussion.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, in my last talk, my latest talk, I want to speak about what is called as the Frege-Geach Argument against expressivism. And this is because Adriano wanted me to do that, so if you don't enjoy the talk, he is the one to be blamed. So it's not my fault. I know I can see that the topic is quite technical in some sense. So, but in order for the topic to be understandable, I have to go back to one of my talks of one of the talk I presented yesterday, and I will insist in what I have called an expressive approach or expressivism in general, because the Frege-Geach argument is the classical, the standard criticism against expressivist views of meaning. And most people think that it is conclusive, that because of the Frege-Geach argument, we are not allowed anymore to speak of expressive meaning. And I think that this is just wrong. So I'm going to explain the argument and my position. Here, just repeat. If you remember yesterday, I said some facts of the matter. The facts of the matter were that, well, I will repeat the three theses. What is expressive meaning? And then I said, okay, this is the second part, and I didn't say anything about it. And it is what I'm going to do today, which is the scope of the Frege-Geach argument. And it is divided into two parts, the force effects and toxicity, and then my conclusion. So, nothing. Let's go to the... Okay, yeah. The first one, the first thesis that I defended yesterday, the one to which I call semantic hierarchism, is this one: some predicative expressions require predicative or sentention arguments. Alternatively, some concepts express properties, modifications, or operation on other concepts or conceptual contents. One of my theses. And as to remind you, the second one is semantic pluralism, which is just that not every term and not every concept signifies in the same way. That's all. And the third, which is the expressive here. The third thesis is semantic expressivism, which is functions of propositions, I mean higher order concepts like truth and good and knowledge, function of propositions intervene in the Austinian proposition, indicating part of the circumstances in which the lecton has to be evaluated. Indicating is not describing, is not contributing a concept, a new concept. So nevertheless, they don't affect the lecton, which is the argument. So this is semantic expressivism. And my kind of expressivism is minimal expressivism, which is the combination of these three theses. So now, the Frege-Geach argument. The argument is called Frege-Geach because Geach presented it and attributed some of the notions he was using to Frege. I don't think that Frege would agree with this argument. So I think that this label is unfair to Frege. Okay, so Geach presents his argument, which is something very short, in a paper which is called Ascriptivism, which is, the same paper is also the chapter 8 of his collection Logic Matters. So Geach's thesis is ascriptivism is untenable. A semantic position is ascriptivist in Geach's sense if and only if it supports the following inference. The inference is this one. The characterization of an act as voluntary or intentional implies that the speaker is not describing the agent's mental state, but ascribing it to him. So we are not by means of voluntary or intentional acts. We don't describe. Let's say. You already know that I don't believe in what I'm going to say now, but let me put it just for the sake of argument. The point is, if you use a voluntary or intentional kind of discourse, you are not trying to describing how things are, but to attributing to your interlocutor some kind of mental state. And from this inference, it seems to follow, it follows the more debatable claim that by removing description from the analysis of intentional acts, truth goes too. So the idea is that if you think that some operators, some concepts, or some speech acts don't describe or don't have as their aims describing reality, then truth cannot be applied to them. This is the point. It's quite, it's quite generalized, this kind of connection. So, together with the other three theses that I presented yesterday and I have repeated today, we might add the following one, T4. If the pragmatic force of a speech act is not descriptive, its semantic content cannot be assessed for truth or falsehood. Only if we are in the presence of a speech act which is descriptive are we allowed to use the notion of truth and falsehood. Again, this is quite common. Everybody thinks this is right. So, I have called T4 truth inaptness. So, one of Geach's targets is precisely non-descriptivism about truth. What he says is the following. There is a theory that to say what the policeman said is true is not to describe or characterize what the policeman said, but to corroborate it. So Geach says, and from T4, everybody thinks that it follows that if truth ascriptions do not describe, they are neither true nor false.